Welcome back, everybody. Hour two brought to you in part by Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. Outlaw Communications, from strategic communications to leadership training and conversational content, we help your message connect and inspire. I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to go fast with my boy, Jersey Jim from NHL Full Press. How you doing, Jersey Jim?
I am doing good, Rod. Good to be on. Good to be here. Glorious Monday. Can't wait to talk sports.
Life is amazing, and we got a lot of things to get to with you. I think I'm going to start with NFL. You're a hockey guy. What's your first sport? I feel like it's hockey, or is that even an unfair
Yeah,
question? Is there a
hockey.
tie for number one? Is hockey? Okay,
Yeah, it's
okay,
hockey. Hockey's my first love. Yeah, hockey's my first love.
okay. Well, you know that I got some hockey questions coming down the pipe, but I'm going to start with our poll question for you. Coming out of Week 1 in the NFL for EMJ Marketing, who's in the most trouble? Cowboys, Dolphins, Lions, or somebody else I haven't even thought of?
It's the Dolphins. It's not even close. I mean, this isn't even a fair question in my opinion. Shout out to my guy Teddy, Nightcap Recap partner. We talked about it on our NFL preview. He told me that Dolphins wheels are going to come off this year. They're not even going to get 6 wins. I added the caveat that Mike McDaniel will be the first coach fired this year. A lot of trouble. Offense isn't even clicking. To lose, to put up that performance against the Indianapolis Colts team with a Daniel Jones as the quarterback, that's just troublesome. You have all season to prepare for that performance. Yeah, that's not good.
Okay, well, you're seeing what I'm seeing. And by the way, I was watching NFL Network the other day. Kyle Brandt was on there, and their topic was who's going to have more wins for New York teams, Giants or Jets? I'm like, you're just asking this? Jersey Jim and I talked about this like 4, 5, 6 months ago, but they're both 0-1. Probably not surprised in either case.
No, no, I'm not. I mean, look, I think the Jets put up a great performance yesterday. I think Justin Fields clock situational awareness. If he takes that first down, runs forward, slides timeout, I think the Jets have a chance to win that game. The Giants, that's just, again, we talked about the Dolphins. I'll say it again. Brian Dable and the coaching staff, you look great in preseason. But again, pads, shorts in preseason doesn't mean anything. When you're unprepared to play a game like that against Washington, you know what Jaden Daniels is going to do. And the Commanders didn't even have a great game anyway. They kept you around, and Russ looked awful. You know what? I don't know if either team's going to have more wins than the other one because I think they're both going to be bad. But if I had to pick a team, it might be the Jets.
That'll have more wins.
Yeah, I think the Jets will have more
Yeah.
wins than the Giants. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm just gonna be
Well,
honest.
yeah, you're sitting out there in New Jersey. You live a stone's throw from MetLife Stadium. How does this play that Aaron Rodgers comes in there after the way that he was treated, rightfully or not? I don't know because I'm not there. But and to win, like there had to be some bragging rights on each side going in.
Yeah, 100% there was bragging rights for sure. I mean, look, I thought Justin Fields played a great game for his team as well. The revenge game against the Steelers, they moved on from him. And then,
Hmm.
Rodgers comes in, plays as well as I didn't have 4 touchdowns and 200 yards for Aaron Rodgers yesterday. I'm going to be honest. But I did say he was going to go in there and win. I thought the Steelers were going to go in there and win. And my mock headline is Rodgers takes flight back in New York. That was going to be my mock headline for the weekend. And it's true they did well. Look, I thought Rodgers did well, but I still not sure that the Steelers are a playoff team. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think it was just a bragging rights game. He comes out. He's glad to beat everybody on the Jets, as he said post game. I want to see what the next game is like. I want to see it against somebody else because we knew he was going to do well against the Jets.
Sure. Sure. Well, here's the thing. That's a game, if you're from a Steelers perspective, that you think's a winnable game that you have to have. And now you're understanding why they're on fire here in South Florida because that was a winnable game at the Colts. And they got
Yes.
obliterated. They weren't even close. So, no, you're right.
Yeah.
The correct answer is the Dolphins. You're 100% right. Um, Wayne in BC says, I'm a Russell Wilson fan, but he had a bad game. Maybe the team around him aren't world beaters either. I'm watching that game with a Giants fan. Shout out Bree. And my friend Chris from the Bronx is probably watching right now. Clearly a huge Giants fan. Um, they were very upset with the play of their team. And I'm kind of sitting there going, because I expected the Cowboys to lose at Philly. My expectations are very low. Like, why would Giants fans think they had a chance at Washington?
Just because the way the defense has been playing, the hyped up defense, Abdul Carter, you come in, right? You got Kayvon Thibodeau on the other side. They looked better. Right team had energy. Look, that energy from preseason again. But again, it's preseason. Not the coaches aren't throwing everybody out there. Guys are playing against guys that are on practice squads now. Or to quote Lou Brown from Major League, guys will be bagging groceries in a couple of weeks. I mean, look, Brian Dable did not have this team prepared to play, but the issues of this team continue to show its head. The offensive line is poor. They need to be able to run the football. They can't. And Malik Neighbors is the best player on the team, but they just can't get him the football.
You know, we're going to bring Jersey Jim on and obviously talk about New York area teams, and we will. But it's funny. I was thinking about this morning. We are trapped in a 24-hour society. This is my brother's term. He's like, we forget about yesterday. We don't think about tomorrow. It's all about today. And I'm like, the Chiefs, rightly or wrongly, that's the way people are. The Chiefs lost Friday in Brazil. I was at a hockey game, so I didn't see it. But it's like, did the world blow up Saturday after the Chiefs lost to the Chargers? Because that's a pretty big upset coming out of week one that I'm not hearing a whole lot of talk about.
No one's talking about it. No one's really
No.
talking about it. Kind of flew under the radar. To be honest, I had the Chargers going in winning that game, to be honest. I like what the Chargers bring. Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, they got the running back now. That defense stepped up when it mattered. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is going to do Patrick Mahomes things. I mean, that sideways throw was ridiculous. Like, only him. But, again, I'll say it again. Patrick Mahomes with the hits, some of the things that happened in the game. Again, you wonder why the NFL is the way the NFL is, and there's conspiracy theories. But the way Justin Herbert closed the game out, the way the Chargers closed that game out, get that first down, put the ball in your best player's hands, slide for that first down to close the game out. I think there should be more attention to it because I think maybe the fact that maybe people think the Chiefs are going to have a down year. Xavier Worley had a separated shoulder in that game. And the Raiders played well this weekend, so I think people should be talking about it. This could be a down year for the Chiefs.
Well, that's why I say that it's so Friday. Everybody's got enough to talk about, right? They're all talking about the Bills comeback and so forth, and for good reason. The viewers, by the way, are dying to get to hockey, so we will. But one more thing with Jim, a real specialty for him is college football. So it is the Rod Pedersen Show. Here are my takeaways. Number one, I went to FAU, Florida A&M the other night to see my boy Henry Burris coach, and they got shabackled, to use Hank's term. Miami won. They're number 5. They might even move up, the Hurricanes. Arch Manning got on track for the Longhorns, but you knew they were going to spank San Jose State. OSU won 70-0 over Grambling State. They are saying LSU is the best team in college football. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's what they are saying. Florida State is 2-0. Last year they were 0-2. Thank you, transfer portal. And I got more, but those are my big takeaways. What are yours for week 2 in college football?
I think, again, you want to talk about a Friday thing. We talked about it last segment with the Chiefs. I think this is a team that's flying under the radar, no pun intended, but the Oregon Ducks out west, I think they're the best team in the Big Ten. Let's be honest, Dante Moore, the way that offense is. Again, look, I know they played Montana State, but then they just shellacked Oklahoma State. That's a Power 4 conference team from the Big 12. Again, Mike Gundy run his mouth before the game, and Dan Lanning in Oregon took it personally and put a 69 spot up because they talked about the transfer portal and Oregon spending money and this and that. But you got to spend money in today's college football day and age to be successful. Oregon, to me, is the best team in the Big Ten. I think Ohio State's behind that. I think there's too much hype around Penn State. I think the Nittany Lions, I think they're overhyped. Drew Aller, look, they played Nevada and FIU. I want to see what happens against Penn State. That's the game I got circled. James Franklin, I think, overrated coach in that ending. LSU's still a good team. Georgia, LSU played okay in their games. Georgia's got a big one against Tennessee. I think the teams we expected to win, and I think we just got to pump the brakes on some of these quarterbacks because I think everybody's overhyping them, like Cade Klubnik and Clemson. I think Clemson's not as good as we think they are. They barely beat Troy. That's a winnable game. You should have crushed them. And there was a lot of 70 spots this weekend, but to me, Oregon. Oh, and I got to give a shout out South Florida. Big win against Florida, coming back late with the field goal. I think Billy Napier might be on the hot seat down there too.
Well, they were talking about firing him last year. Several weeks into the season, he survived. But South Florida visits Miami this Saturday, and I had
Big
planned to go to
game.
the game, but something a little more exciting has come up. I'll be telling the viewers a little later in the week. But I will say this before we switch to hockey: you gotta love the local radio broadcast. So I was leaving FAU Stadium the other night. They were rolling Florida A&M 56-14. And the voice of the Owls, Ken LaVicka, on Fox Sports 640, South Florida says, well, next week we got to go down to that dump of a stadium in West Miami and play FIU. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you're saying this. This is a rival 40 miles down the road. But I got in so much hell for saying that when I was the voice of a team. But maybe that's why people loved me. To hockey, so I think you saw what I was talking about earlier. It's NHL goalie week. It's about time they started to honor the goalies in the world. And the NHL came out today with this: who's the greatest tandem in NHL history? For me, it's Fuhr and Moog, and it's not close. They said the current best tandems are Winnipeg 1, Dallas 2, Rangers 3, Caps 4. I would argue that even. But for the purposes of history, who's the best tandem of all time?
I mean, I've thought about this, and I had two. I was debating between two, but I'm leaning Oilers. I'm going Fuhr and Moog. But the other one was Jacques Plante and Glenn Hall with St. Louis and what they did. But again, I think it's Moog and it's Fuhr, because go back to that 1990 Cup run, like he came in, right, like Moog and Fuhr down, and that was Billy Ranford's time in 1990 when the Conn Smythe. But earlier in the 80s, Moog and Fuhr, I mean, that tandem was ridiculous. I mean, they played so well, and if it wasn't for some bad bounces along the way, maybe the Oilers dominate more in the 80s than they do. But I heard somebody talk about Billy Smith and Chico Resch. I mean, you can't go wrong with that tandem either. But I think I agree with you on that. I think that's the best tandem in history right now.
That's why the world's gone mad. I think we can all agree on that. But what hasn't changed is that winning matters. 4 cups, end of story. Mic drop. For the
Yeah.
name me somebody better. And as I said, because these guys are saying Winnipeg's the best tandem. Hellebuck and your aunt would be the best tandem because of Connor Hellebuck. Like that's not the
Yeah.
definition. It's that you can put either guy in
No.
and expect to win. Not many teams have that even now.
No, and look, in the 90s, everybody wants to point out the best tandem in the 90s, you could argue, was Mike Vernon and Chris Osgood in 97. That's the only year you could say two guys could go in there and win games. Like, other than that, it was Brodeur, Hasek, Waugh, and do any of you know who their backups were? I know whose Brodeur's was. It was Chris Terreri, and that was a pretty good tandem when they won the cup. But again, that's 2 out of how many teams were playing in the 90s? Like, it's pretty hard. I mean, yeah, they put up a couple of cups, right? Like, you could say early 90s, Richter, Van Beesbrook were really good, but the Rangers didn't win until Beezer moved on and Richter was the man. So, again, if you look at it, Moog, Fuhr, hands down, mic drop. Let's move on. Next topic.
Rob in Regina writes in and says on the Western Dodge text line, Fuhr and Moog are definitely the best tandem. Andy Moog was the reason I became a goalie. I had his poster on my wall from when he was with the Bruins. Loved getting to see your dad's mask last week. I can only imagine what it would have been like to wear it. Somebody asked me, this is my dad's. I don't know if you've been following the
That's
story, Jim,
awesome.
but
Yeah, no, I saw it. That's
yeah,
awesome.
that thing's legit from the 60s when men were men and dad didn't care. Yeah, I wore it out to play street hockey, but that's not the same as what he faced. So, so we're putting this to bed, Fuhr and Moog. It's a very fun discussion, but not a long one. And like Dallas is the second best tandem, they say, at NHL.com. In an elimination game, you got to pull Ottinger and put in Casey DeSmith because he was so bad, and you're like number 2. What are you talking about? Like, I'd love to have more time to go down that road, but I'm not going to today because we've spent enough on it. But Connor McDavid, I'm tired of this, Jim, and you got your thumb on everything. Where are you on the will he, won't he, and when he discussion?
There was a shirt that came out in Green Bay years ago. Well, actually, Dan Patrick made the shirt, but Aaron Rodgers had the famous line that said, "Relax." And they made a T-shirt. It says, "Aaron says relax." I have the T-shirt. I think the Edmonton Oilers, somebody out there, you can give me royalties for it, says Connor says relax. You guys are over analyzing what he's saying. He's not going anywhere. He's going to get paid whatever he wants within reason. Obviously, they're not just going to give him a Brinks truck and give him the keys to the. They could if they wanted to, but he wants to win. He wants to win in Edmonton. The quotes I heard after that practice on Friday remind me of Michael Jordan. Jordan got beat up by the Pistons in the conference finals at 88, 89, and 90. They put the team around him. They went to work, and they just rattled off 3 straight championships. Am I saying that's going to happen with the Oilers? Maybe. They went to back-to-back Cup finals. What I do know is the team around him is not as good as the team that lost in Game 7. That I know for a fact. The depth scoring isn't there. Yeah, you have Draisaitl, you have Bouchard. Okay, that's great. But not having Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg on that team is crucial. And I think McDavid knows it. He knows what has happened over the last couple of years. When they go to the negotiation table, this thing's going to be over in 5 minutes. They know what they want to do. He's got to think about everything. It's a slow process. It'll get done, and he stays in Edmonton. I don't buy the hype that he's going anywhere. If he signs a deal, I think it's going to be a 4 or 5 year deal, and then we'll revisit this down the road. But as I've written and said, if he signs a short-term deal, this talk's not going to go away. It isn't, but he's staying in Edmonton. I don't believe the hype that he's leaving. I just pump the brakes a lot on this thing.
Well, it's just they're feeding their own anxiety up there. It's like, I'm with you, relax, but they won't.
Yeah, no,
Um,
just relax
yeah.
a little bit. The man isn't going anywhere. 90, if there was a team I need to be concerned and not relax, it'd be 97 in Minnesota. Kaprizov, that's the guy I would have anxiety over, because he may not stay. He may not.
Jeremy Winnipeg says, I can see McDavid leaving. Cannon, Mississauga says, for a young guy, that's impressive that Jim knew Plant and Hall with St. Louis. So there you go. But Jimmy knows his stuff, which I'll get to everybody else's questions here after you adjourn. Tell people where they can read your stuff. Jimmy, you do such a great job covering the NHL.
Hey, thanks, Fraud, so much. I appreciate that, guys. Get me fullpresshockey.com. Also up on Full Press Media on my Substack. I'll link it on my Twitter at Jim Biringer, NHLrumors.com, and part of the RG Media as well. A lot of great times ahead. I cannot wait for the hockey season, but it's a great time to be a sports fan. That's all I'm going to say.
Yankees? You're a Yankees guy, right?
Yeah, I'm a Yankees guy.
Where are they going to be in the end? Okay, we got 45 seconds.
Where you're going to be. Show me where they are in October, and then we'll talk.
Bomber Boy writes in and says, Rod saying he doesn't have an NHL team but gets visibly insulted when the Panthers are disrespected. Give me an example of that. I don't recall that ever happening. I feel like we have a lot to get to for the rest of the show. 902-518-3033 is the text line to reach us for Western Judge. Jim, as always, thanks for the time, brother.
Always a pleasure, Rod. Take care. We'll do it again.
Jersey Jim Biringer checking in from NHL Full Press. We'll be back in a second, everybody. Get the text line rolling, 902-518-3033. We're back in South Florida, but talking about the same things, and also the YouTube chat. And while you're there, give us a like, a share, and comments. Help us out a lot, too. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV.